coming to you from the Maureen F. Binienda Athletic Complex in Worcester. FATV presents coverage of the 2024 MIAA Division II Boys Soccer Preliminary Round. In today's contest, the Fitchburg Red Raiders, back into the playoffs after a one-year absence, travels down Route 190 to Worcester to take on the Colonels of Worcester South. Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Daniel Bolak. Happy to have you along with us here today for the broadcast of Fitchburg and Worcester South. These two teams very talented on the soccer field this year. Fitchburg, a record of 12-3-3 on the campaign, went 6-1-3 in the Midwatch D. Meanwhile, Worcester South, a very strong team in Central Mass, only one loss on the season in just 2 draws to their credit, with 14 wins on the campaign. Tied for the Inter-High title with a 4-1-1 record against Doherty. That very Doherty team took down the Red Raiders just 7 days ago by a score of 4-0. And for the Red Raiders, 12-1-3 in the first 16 games of the contest, did not qualify for the CMAAA Class A tournament. Got a couple of strong Central Mass teams in Division II in Neshoba and Doherty. Just give them a bit of a litmus test where they were at, maybe a bit of a wake-up call. Both 4-0 losses for the Red Raiders. So now they have an idea what to expect strength-wise as they go into this Division II tournament, having played mostly Division IV and V teams this season, as is the case when you're in the Midwatch D. Meanwhile, for Worcester South, they've had a very solid schedule, very consistent throughout. Only Doherty really gave them fits. Lost a game early in the season, 2-0, then lost a game. And then they beat Doherty in another game in which Doherty was very much the better team, but for reasons that we're not going to get into, Worcester South ended up winning that contest. So the Colonels come in 14-1-2, and one player to watch out there on the field for the Colonels is going to be number 26 in Sean Amponsa. 27 goals on the campaign for Worcester South. Very, very talented senior. Meanwhile, for the Red Raiders, the big player to watch for them, goal-scoring wise, Nihilus Wilson. He's a senior as well. He's got 18 goals on the campaign. So watch out for number 9 in white on the field as well. Moments away from kickoff between the Red Raiders of Fitchburg High School and the Colonels of Worcester South. Worcester South is the 28th seed in this preliminary round matchup. Fitchburg is the 37 seed. As Worcester South is the higher seed, they are hosting, and they are in the home red uniforms with white numbers. Meanwhile, Fitchburg in the road white uniforms with red numbers and red shorts as well. There's the whistle, the kick, and we are underway from Worcester. Red Raiders have it, will drive it downfield, back to their own defense core. Try to settle on the far side of the field. So that's going to be one of those questions. How well will they be able to adapt, keeping up with the pace of this South team? Again, only one loss in league play this year, and there's Ryan Tamfu who has it on the near side. Long stretch pass upfield on the near side. Wanted to find Danny Duarte, but just out of his reach. You could hear the players going, "Go, Danny, go." Try to see if he could go and catch up to that ball. Wasn't able to get there. It'll be a throw-in for South. Throw-in contested there on the near side. Rodney Sarpong got a foot on it. Goes out of bounds. It will be a throw-in for the Red Raiders. They'll be using the yellow lines today. You can see this field lined for many different sports. The yellow lines being used for soccer. Left side of the field, Joshua Santos, one of the captains for the Red Raiders. Pass out to the left side for Duarte. Double teamed by the Colonels, knocked out of bounds by Worcester South. Have the throw in from the near side. Try to center it across, but just too many red-shirted players in the way. They go to the near side into the corner, battling forward in the corner. They'll be knocked out of bounds on the near side boundary. Another throw-in coming for the Red Raiders. You can see so many different Colonels trying to clog up the space there. Not giving Fitchburg really any chance to roam. It goes out of bounds. It goes off of, I think that was Nihilus Wilson in the left side corner. Goes off of him and out of bounds, and we'll have our first goal kick of the match. Felix Ahutu is the goaltender for the Colonels. Came today with a 112 goals against average, has 4 shutouts in the season, but also has not been afraid to get involved in the play. He has 3 assists to his credit as well. The Red Raiders have a senior netminder of their own in Stephen Smith, a 194 goals against and 2 shutouts on the campaign. In the 3rd minute of action down in Worcester, 2 40-minute halves in MIAA boys soccer. At midfield on the far side. South keeping control, trying to make the pass upfield on the left side. No shots yet in this contest. Might get our first one here on the run. Going right towards goal. Smith coming up challenging. And a follow-on ends up striking the American football goalpost. Ricochets back into play. Those goalposts are out of bounds, so it strikes those. The ball's dead there, as if it sailed into that practice field downfield. It might as well have. But a good chance for South early on in the contest. They've got the first shot of the game. Smith will boot it downfield. He's one of 2 captains on this Raider side who participated in the coin toss at pregame. Joshua Santos, the other for the Red Raiders. On the other side, Jaden Benitez and Felix Afutu serving as the captains for the Colonels in this contest. To the center of the field, looking for Benitez. Holds it there, goes farther to the left wing. Flip back to the center, top of the area. Fitchburg will get there. They've got plenty of defense back, ready to mark their men. Here's Tamfu. Touch up field, but disrupted by the Colonels. Booted to the near side boundary and downfield. Good foot put in there by Benitez, and keeping it out of touch as well, right in the field of play. They'll pass it all the way back to Smith. He'll take a moment. Raiders will methodically move their way upfield. We're in the 5th minute of action, no score. Really only 1 scoring chance thus far in this contest. To midfield, to the near side, Santos. There is Wilson, leading scorer for the Red Raiders. Now on for Santos. Santos has his run disrupted. Coming up the near side there, Rodney Sarpong. Near side ricochets out of bounds, off of Sarpong's legs. They'll call the foul first, though, against South. I think that's the first foul of this contest, as we've passed 5 minutes complete from the Binienda Athletic Complex. No score. Very new facility for Worcester South. Used to play all their games at Foley Stadium in Worcester. But when they built the brand new high school, the brand new South High Community School, the last couple of years, that also came with their own athletic field. So now they don't have to go all the way up to Foley Stadium to play soccer. They can just do it right at home. But for the other public schools in Worcester, such as Doherty, Worcester North, and Burncoat, and sometimes Worcester Tech as well, they'll all still use Foley Stadium, a featured facility in the city of Worcester. Raiders will have the throw in here in the 6th minute of action. Looking for somewhere to go. Strong placement by the Cardinals, not letting Fitchburg have it easy there. The throw in on the far side. Sarpong along with Alan Eshun is there as well. Eshun's got 3 goals and 5 assists on the campaign. Throwing going for Tamfu. Try to get to the middle of the field for Santos. Go back to his decor. Pass up for Duarte. Pushing it forward, wants to find Wilson. South not letting the Raiders have their way that easily. Knocked out of bounds by Fitchburg. Samuel Sansa with the throw-in. And he found Mpanza, but he gets swarmed rather quickly. Wilson loses the dribble on his own run, and as it goes out of bounds. Throw in from the near side. As we reach the 8th minute of action out of 80 scheduled.
Let's go, boys! Now it's you!
Still no score, not too much in terms of offensive chances. Foul against the Raiders. One thing worth noticing is that during the postseason, they switched to the more traditional setup of officiating with one official taking charge of the match and 2 assistant officials to call the lines on the near and far side. That's how you normally see it in the professional game. However, during the MIAA regular season, you generally see a 2-referee crew in which each official officiates half of the field, essentially, down the diagonal stretch. That's headed into the area. But South not liking their chances. Smith has plenty of time, able to gather that in and roll it back into play. Battle at midfield for it. Raiders get a run up there. Strong tackle by the Colonels and fully legal. Getting all ball and none of Tamfu's side of it. See the big old scoreboard there at the Binienda complex. Has spaces for shots on goal and corner kicks. The official score has got nothing of that sort going thus far. The 9th minute of action in this boys soccer preliminary round matchup. Stretch pass downfield, trying to spring Imponsa. Found that ball going out of bounds. Yeren Garcia Contreras has the throw in on the right side for Benitez. In the corner. South just trying to control the ball there as they throw it towards goal, but an easy catch there for Stephen Smith. Arguably the first shot of the game, at least the first one on target. A good stretch pass downfield for Nihilus Wilson, but just surrounded by Colonels, nowhere to go. Good transition by South, but Fitchburg will get in the way of that and send it right back. Throw in coming from South from their own half of the field. All the way back to Felix Afutu. Just probably think about going deep. You can see some good pressure there from Wilson. Won't give him the space and time to wind up and fire. Now there's a stretch pass, and there is on the run Sean Imponsa. Imponsa going to the right side, collides with Smith. Ball rolls out of bounds, and Imponsa slow to get up here. Bit of a nasty collision there. They're both going for the ball. Imponsa was just on the run on the right side. Smith coming up to challenge, and he's now on his knees as well. Rather tough collision for both of these players. Both high impact players for their respective teams. Smith's been a multi-year varsity goalie for the Red Raiders. Looks like Imponsa's back up on his feet now. Trying to walk this one off. Smith's back up on his feet as well. Both will be game to continue in this contest. And Drake Haraglica is ready to take the corner kick. This is the first corner of the match, and didn't really get the line he wanted there as he strikes the right upright. Raiders will have the free kick here in the 11th minute. Fitchburg hasn't gotten any shots in the direction of Felix Hutu yet. South had a couple of chances. Got them down at the moment as 2 shots, 1 on target. lot of battling in midfield. Raiders do win that ball. Stretch forward for Wilson was knocked away. Ansa getting in the way of that. Raiders will have it back on the right side. Chip it back to midfield. Collision of players. One of the Colonels loses his footing. The foul will be given, and the free kick coming. And you can see Ahutu coming all the way up to try to take this one. The TNG reported he does have 3 assists this season, which is quite a lot for a goalkeeper. And you'll see part of the reason for that is being willing to get up in the play there to drive it downfield. Didn't go with the long kick that time, went with a shorter kick. South trying to settle, and Benitez kicking it out to the far side boundary. Bit of miscommunication on that pass. Humphrey trying to force the issue. Back to Benitez. The center of the field comes across. On the right side, here's a run up. With strong defense. Saraglika there battling with Santos. Throw in coming from Ansa. Strong play there, another collision. Another foul drawn. This one by Amponsa. This will be a prime opportunity for South. About 13 minutes gone in this contest. Ball's going to be placed at the 20-yard line. This is a 120-yard field that they use at South. So a free kick from just outside the area, the wall 4 wide for the Red Raiders. Erglika's got 4 goals on the campaign. And he drives it through the goalposts. In another sport, he'd score some points, but nothing coming for that. We remain scoreless in the 14th minute. Think of American football in those goalposts, but Gaelic football, where part of the feature is to kick it through the goalpost for 1 point or into a net below the goalpost for 3. Definitely score with that one, but not in this form, not in association football as they play here today. Here is Wilson with the run up the left side. Wilson still going. Tough angle shot. That's knocked down by Afutu. First shot on goal for the Red Raiders. Great opportunity there. You'll notice that there's a little bit of a disconnect there between the clock that you see on screen and the clock that you see on the official scoreboard up there. And that's because when we had that injury stoppage for the collision between Amponsa and Smith, we stopped the clock on our end, but they did not stop the clock down at Binienda Athletic Complex. So one of the other things too to note with the soccer games is that they'll typically stop the game scoreboard clock with a couple minutes left in the half because the game is being timed on the field. Really, both clocks, the one you see on your screen, the one you see in the background, those are for entertainment purposes only. As that ball went out of bounds through the end line, and it'll be a free kick for South. The odds are with that previous stoppage, the officials, I imagine, stopped the watch on their wristbands and then restart it when they were ready for play. So our camera operator, Isaiah Manuel, who was controlling the clock and the graphics that you see on the screen, in addition to providing the pretty pictures from Worcester. I trust him more than I trust that clock over there. We thank him for making the field trip down to Worcester to capture the video for this playoff game between Fitchburg and Worcester South. Here's Nihilus Wilson again. Pass out to the right side, try to feed Wilson back. He's going to be able to pick it up there, top of the area, trying to look for some space to shoot. Opportunity was blocked. 4 or 5 different Colonels there to get in the way. They all know to mark number 9. Here's Brent Florimon. He's got 9 goals himself on the campaign. Not able to do much with that, and now here's the transition play. And Ponsa trying to bring it upfield. Raiders get in the way of that and bring it back the other way. th minute of action in this D2 preliminary round game, no score. Another stretch pass. Here's Ponsa again. He's got a lot of space to work with. Ponsa going to goal, scores! The most dangerous man on the field, Sean Ponsa, gets his 28th goal of the season in the 18th minute. It's South who strikes first. That transition play there for South. How quickly they can get downfield, and how Ponsa was just able to get on the run, outrun everybody, and create the space and time. That's so challenging for any goalie to have to deal with. It comes, in fact, at the very tail end of the 17th minute by our count. The senior forward, Sean Ponsa, with his 28th goal of the season, makes it 1-0 to the Colonels of Worcester South. Bring it all the way back to Smith, drives it past midfield, and Ponsa trying to get on the run again. Raiders settle. Find Wilson on the near side. Duarte going for Santos. And further amongst the defense core. Raiders holding now, trying to push forward, but just out of the reach of the midfielder. They wanted to find Santos. Ponsa pushes it forward a little bit. He's got the goal in this contest as he gets it back. South playing a little bit of keep away. And South continuing to play a bit of keep away here. Trying to control the ball as we're ever so slightly approaching the halfway point of this first half, the quarter point of this contest. A 1-0 lead for South. Now they've got a lead just trying to control the ball, but trying to control the ball for a whole hour would definitely be an ambitious strategy. Goes out of bounds off a Raider. Samuel Sansa, throw it in. On the near side, Rodney Sarpong, back to the midfield. Distributed out there by Indrit Haraglika. Out to the left side and downfield. A stretch pass. One Raider trying to stay in the way there, but there are 2 Colonels trying to corral that ball on the left side of the area. Eventually comes out to Santos, who clears it away. Fed up left side, Wilson trying to keep it in play. Now to Tamfu on the right side. That stretch pass maybe a bit too far. Caught up to, but just ran out of space. Out of bounds it goes. The South's throw in. I mentioned South soccer field, 120 yards long. That actually does vary based on facility and the space available and how you really want to draw the lines. For instance, Crocker Field soccer field is only 110 yards long. Probably a little narrower as well, because you're working with the space available. We'll have a whistle here at the halfway point. Our referee asked for a clock stoppage. Looks like we had a substitution. Compared to the professional game where you have 5 substitutions a game, the high school rules are significantly more liberal. They're effectively unlimited. Just that once a player comes off, they can't come back until the next phase of play is complete. But other than that, unlimited entries, unlimited exits, not really too much in terms of restrictions. Be a drop ball to restart play. It's obviously something just happening in the back end that required a player needing to exit the contest for whatever reason. After trying to drive it forward now, finding Santos. Duarte. Good foot into the area, but it'll be easily gobbled up by the goalkeeper Felix Hutu before anybody can get to that. And driven back into Raider territory. Just past the halfway point in this first half, 1-0 South in front. Sean Imponsa finding his 28th goal of the campaign for the Cardinals. That's just of the goals that were reported to the TNG. There were a few missing from their ledger. He could perhaps have more than 27 goals. But now here's another opportunity being created here. Imponsa again, shot saved by Smith, and a rebound. Ends up going wide of the cage. A couple great chances for the Colonels. Imponsa is very much the heart and soul of this Worcester South team. By the way, did I just call them the Lancers a moment ago? If I did that, I'm thinking of Worcester State, or the Lancers. I've called significantly more Worcester State games than Worcester South games. I will admit that. On the near side, Duarte. Trying to feed Wilson. Have to get around one of those defenders there in Samuel Suansa. And he provides the space that Wilson can't get past. It goes all the way out to Ahutu. Feed it to the far side and driven downfield. Another chip forward. You see Imponsa playing as that striker. Able to force a corner kick. This will be the second for South. First corner kick for South ended up striking the football uprights. Endrit Haraglika is going to want a better effort this time. They'll set it right there in the corner. Here it is, taken well across. And his header ends up striking the uprights again. It's the third time, I think, that South has struck the uprights in this contest. They have 5 shots to the Raiders' 1, and they have the lone goal here in the 24th minute. Santos out to the right side. Trying to feed it further to the right, but a lot of pressure there. They'll backpedal a little bit. Try to hold it around midfield. There's Tamfu. Push it forward. We're just going to see what they can do with their own transition play on the right side. Still some space, gets it across. Doesn't get to the intended recipient. Intercepted and spit back down the far side. From midfield, 2 Raiders dispossess. They'll come back to the near side. Good to the middle and out to the right. forward, but more Colonels there to disrupt and bring it back to midfield. This team that really wants to strike in their transition play, trying to feed it forward from Ponsa, and a shot going to be called back on offside. Jade Benitez, who got the shot, went bar down and in, but he was just a little bit ahead of the Raiders' back line when that pass was made. The free kick from the offside coming. Out to midfield. There's Wilson. His back pass got picked. Ponsa out to the middle for Sarpong. There's a stretch pass trying to feed in there. And still going and shepherding it all the way to the goal is Amponsa. He's going to have his second of the contest. 9 minutes after the first strike, Worcester South makes it 2-0. And Fitchburg's going to call timeout off of that. 26 minutes gone in this contest, and a 2-0 lead for Worcester South. As the Raiders really struggling to stop big number 26 in Sean Amponsa. You can see how South really strikes and craves that transition play. Get those quick passes downfield. Try to catch their opposition out of sorts. And just let Amponsa cook. Time he was able to get it past Smith, and then all he had to do was bring it to the goal, bring it right to its home, put it in the net, and 2-0. South has the lead in this contest. Winner of this game will be taking on Minnechaug on Wednesday. Not too much time for rest, only 1 day off in between. Minnechaug, the number 5 seed, had their own interesting adventures this season as well, including some court cases that allowed the Falcons to get their number 5 seed, probably as they had rightfully earned in a sense anyway, but there were some complications in Western Mass this year. A dozen schools not properly accounting for their version of the CMATA tournament, the PVIAC. Some forfeits that were lodged against the teams that didn't fill out their schedules correctly, and some court cases to try to overturn those, led by Minnechaug, of which they were successful in doing so. So they got the 5 seed they earned with their performances. They would have been seeded somewhere in the mid-teens if the forfeits that were charged against their account were allowed to stand. But anyway, that game will be in Wilbraham on Wednesday. To the winner of this game. Each team gets 1 timeout to use per half. That's a rule that exists at the high school level. It doesn't exist in the collegiate or professional levels. Cameron Tucker, the head coach of the Red Raiders. Brian Cormier, the head coach of the Colonels. Take the time to discuss strategy for Fitchburg. Definitely how to prevent that transition play from fouling up this game for the Raiders. And for the Colonels, how to thwart whatever strategy changes Fitchburg's about to make. As per the statistics reported to the TNG, South really only has 4 goal scorers. With Amponsa having 27 coming in today. 38 were reported of the 41 goals that South has scored this season. Again, of those 38, Mponza has 27 of them. That was just coming into this contest. We knew the biggest test for the Raiders was going to be figuring out how to stop him. And thus far, they have not found the success they were hoping to find. Up to the near side. That one broken up and blocked. Jason Percival. He's got a few goals for the Red Raiders this season. Moving along, definitely changing the formations up a little bit. Now the Raiders with better run up. Turn around, trying to get a shot off there was Wilson. Ends up getting blocked. There's that transition play for South again. Now back at the top of the area. South pull it back a little bit. The near side. Jaden Benitez. They'll drive it in. Percival trying to settle for the Raiders. Benitez getting it back. Trying to control the ball. Santos getting in his way. Captain on captain action there. Pass broken up. Ponsa to the right side. Settled down by Garcia Contreras. To the left side of the field. And all the way out to the wing. Centered top of the area. Raiders settle it. Try to clear it. Ends up striking the referee. And they'll award the Raiders a free kick. I think that was less to there being a foul, but more just the fact that it was obviously not fair to the Raiders that would strike him in that spot, and the ball would ricochet back, and South could keep the pressure on. The ball obviously would travel farther otherwise. Back into South territory, but they'll distribute it all the way back to their keeper. See Hutu with the white pants on and the white top, wearing number 77. His white pants disambiguate him from the red pants that the Red Raiders wear, thus preventing the jersey clash. There's a foul against the Raiders. But the foul will count as 4-1 against Fitchburg in this contest. They've been just a little bit rougher. The free kick coming from just a little over 25 yards from goal. The Colonel will just move that ball right up onto the 15-yard line. Raiders wall about 3 wide, about 10 yards back. Now made to take a couple more steps. They're probably in the right spot, though, for where that ball was originally placed. Then they nudged it forward, so then they had to move the ball back. They had to move the line back a little bit. Strong strike towards goal. Ends up hitting the lacrosse netting back there. Cycle in a couple new players as Smith goes and retrieves the ball. A little over a half hour gone, less than 10 minutes to go in this first half. 2-0 Worcester South in front. John Mponza getting his 28th and 29th goals of the season. Raiders will make their way to the 50. Drive it downfield on the left side. Tamfu will settle, trying to create some space to get it across. Lost his footing. Some Raider fans may have wanted a tackle. That was illegal, but they get it back instead. Tamfu, top of the area, gets a shot on goal, just misses to the wide to the right. Oh, Hutu probably had him beat. May not have been on target, but I think that's the best shot the Raiders have had in this contest. And with all those Colonels surrounding Tamfu, and all that effort, great on the Raiders to get that opportunity, get that shot on. Futu had to dive out there in desperation, but in his fortune, the ball just missing by a couple of feet to the right of the cage. Foul for it on the far side. Assistant rules that is in touch off a Raider. But not quite that, it's actually ruling a foul against the Raiders. Which is why they'll place the ball in the field of play for Futu to drive downfield. Line drive kick down the far boundary. Raiders intercept here. Moving back in transition. Top of the area, Florimond trying to drive that towards goal. Didn't get much on it. It rolls harmlessly into the area where Futu will get that. Now really puts his feet into that one. Drives it to midfield from the area. Many goaltenders at this level probably could only do that with a drop kick. Futu has the feet, the legs to drive that forward. Good pressure there by the Colonels on the counterattack, and Ruben Padilla had to drive that out of bounds. To alleviate the pressure, drives it out the side boundary as well, so it forces a deep throw in, as opposed to conceding their third corner of the night. Ponsa, able to settle himself, goes to the ground there, but that was him losing his footing. Nothing more than that. And a goal kick for the Raiders. Fitchburg coming into this game 12-3-3, but having lost their last two contests. South, on the other hand, 14-1-2. Their only loss coming in the second game of the season against Doherty. Their most recent game, though, was not a win. That was a tie in the final inter-high game of the season. They tied Worcester North 2-2. If South had won that game, they would have won the inter-high outright. Would have repeated as outright champions. They had to settle for a shared title with Doherty. Put across by Tamfu, perhaps looking for Florimond, perhaps looking for Wilson. Couldn't find either of them. Here's that transition play and that run-up. Shot on Ponsa, getting around the defense. The right side, putting it across. Settle down in the area. Turnaround shot, deflected down. And it makes its way towards Smith, who will take no chances. He'll gobble that one up. Not 100% sure if that was going to go into that otherwise. Still, at the very least, a shot. That's, for my count, 7 shots for the Colonels, compared to 4 for the Raiders. Whistle in the tangle up here. Now go under 5 minutes to go in this first half, a 2-0 lead for South. They resume with the drop ball. Go all the way back to Tamfu. We'll just go short with this one. They'll work methodically. Duke Danona had the push up there, now on the left side. Continue to make it into the area, make it dangerous. Ponsa with a header, headed back by the Raiders. Contact against South. For my count, just the second foul committed by the Colonels. I've got 5 against the Raiders. Smith fakes the hard run-up and ends up going short. Raiders will work methodically here. Tamfu at midfield. Pushed it forward, Downona got in the way of that. On the right side, pushing forward into the area. Found Florimon for a moment. Duarte trying to step up, looking for Tamfu. Cleared out of danger just for a moment. Eduballon to the right side. That area, trying to settle down, trying to turn one towards goal. Not a lot of oomph on it, ends up going wide. Futu just using his feet to bring it out to the side, ready to drive it downfield. Florimon pressures, and Futu's like, that was kicked towards me. I'm allowed to pick it up. I will just do that. I'll drop it down to kick it away. What a drive there from Ahutu. Curious to see if he's a goaltender who will get some play at the next level. This foul's going to be called against the Red Raiders. So Ponsa was knocked down there. Same could be said for the Raider keeper and Stephen Smith. He's been a very solid keeper for the Raiders over the last couple of years. Into the area looking for a header on. Alan Eshun, I think, ended up heading it wide to the left. 39th minute of action, 2-0 South in front. Smith will drive it downfield. Florimon tries to get it across, but there's an intercept. Here's that transition play for South again. The Raiders will disrupt. Driving downfield on the far side, here's another run. Some pressure there. And the Raiders going to earn their first corner here in the 39th minute. You can see the clock stopped on the big scoreboard there with 2 minutes left. As the time is now kept on the field. That way the players don't know exactly when the whistle will blow for full time, or at least halftime in this case. Danny Duarte will go and take this quarter from the right side, try to get the Raiders back in this one. Battling forward in the area. Contact initiated by the Raiders. The foul will be given. And the referee will count it down as the official will now blow for halftime from the Maureen F. Binienda Athletic Complex in Worcester. 2-0 South in front at the interval. So in that first 40 minutes, we definitely saw South doing a solid job in controlling the ball along with the Raiders, trying desperation to limit the opportunities. South definitely with more of the chances. Raiders got a few more as the half progressed. We look at the first half stats. Shots by my count were 8-5 in favor of South. Shots on target 4-1 in favor of the Colonels. And that includes, of course, the 2 goals scored by Sean Ponsa. Fouls 7-2 against the Raiders. Only 3 corner kicks in the first half of play. 2 of them taken by South, none of which really led to anything. Through the magic of television, we'll now skip ahead to the end of the interval. And we'll get ourselves ready for the second half of action. Again, Fitchburg, the number 37 seed in Division 2, South, the 28th seed. You may have wondered with their records, 12-3-3 and 14-1-2 respectively, how are they seated so low? The answer, strength of schedule. For Fitchburg, they historically have played in the lowest division of the Midland Wachusett League. And for that reason, they're generally playing teams that are smaller in terms of school size, which means teams that will fall generally in Divisions 4 and 5 of the 5-division structure that exists in soccer. So for that reason, you're generally going to get a lower strength of schedule in that regard, but Fitchburg's enrollment and their numbers big enough that they are in Division 2 out of 5. South kind of has the same thing. The Inner High specifically has often played teams that are in the lower divisions as well. A lot of common opponents between the two sides. The average strength of schedule in Division 2 was about 0.86. It's like, these numbers may not mean a whole lot to you, but 0.86, we can say, was the average strength of schedule for a team in Division 2. Worcester South's SOS was about minus 0.16, so about a full point lower, and then the Raiders minus 0.8. So about 3/4 of a point lower than that, or 2/3, I guess you could say. So there's the whistle for the start of the second half, as Nihilus Wilson will kick it off. The Raiders will now go from left to right in the road white uniforms. And the Cardinals in the home red uniforms will go from right to left. They'll be chipped out of bounds there. The Raiders were actually 46th in Division 2, but a winning record will get you into the playoffs every time, same with a 500 record, no matter what your rating is. And what is a particularly interesting thought was the team that came 45th in the power rankings, Walpole, went 1-17, but they had the best strength of schedule in the entire division. And they were a team that lost their games by average of 2 goals a game, but if they lost their games by 1 goal a game, they would have been in the playoffs because they would have been up in 32nd as opposed to the 45th that they finished in. Strength of schedule is a very meaningful metric there in trying to match up the teams. Sometimes you do miss some things. For instance, when the Raiders made the playoffs 2 years ago, they were the 34 seed. They beat Shepherd Hill on penalty kicks, and then they went on to take the number 2 seed Hopkinton to overtime. They lost in overtime, but still just playing a very competitive game against a team that would go on to be the runner-up in Division 2. It's definitely a very strong achievement for the Red Raiders. And last year, Fitchburg missed the playoffs by just half a game. They were 7-8-3. Turn one of those ties into a win, then they would have had the 8-8-2 record that would have gotten them into the postseason, guaranteed. Smith drove that downfield. Left side chipped into the area. Settled for a moment to now out to the right side. There's Nihilus Wilson. Looking for some space, gets a shot on goal, but it's right at a Hutu. He won't miss on that. Driven downfield and just like that. South has it in Raider territory in the 3rd minute of the second half. Miscommunication on that, and it turns out it's Fitchburg's throw-in. Take advantage there. Push it up to midfield. Andreet Huraglika kicking it out to the right side. Now settled down on the left. Nudged into the left corner. There's Jaden Benitez, one of the captains of this South High team. On the right side, entanglement. Foul against South. A lot of battling for the ball there, but it will all favor the Raiders. They get the free kick. Smith will drive it forward. Mentioned very new facility at the South High Community School. Been open for a couple of years. Basically, when you have a new facility like that, basically a blank canvas to work on to build the field however you'd like. South playing a bit of keep away from the Raiders and bringing that all the way back into their own end to drive it downfield. So by Benitez. Now driven downfield off a Raider head. Now settled on the right side as they run that ball down to the end line. Last touch by a Raider. So that'll lead to the third corner kick of the match for Worcester South. Haven't found a whole lot of success on these corners tonight. Pittsburgh has at least done well to limit them to the opportunities there. It's been the transition play that's really bit them the most. That one headed high over the net to the left side, not quite on target. Oh, that one was going to stay out of play, but actually stayed in bounds. Driving kick ends up being a pass to the left side. Battle forward on the end line. Michael Nario, the senior, keeping South from doing anything with that. Last off the Colonels. Free kick for Stephen Smith. On the near side, here's Laba Natunu. He's got a goal on the campaign. He's a sophomore. These teams do have a lot of seniors. 23 on the varsity roster for the Red Raiders, and they have 12 seniors. For South, they have 27 players on the varsity roster, 13 seniors. And both teams set to lose a lot of good players. Raiders retreating a little bit. Try to go backwards to go forwards, but sometimes in this case, with the pressure from the defense, you just go backwards. Mentioned Imponza now with 29 goals on the season. I'll have a whistle a stoppage here. As one of the Colonels may have taken a shot. I hit off a ball or something to that effect. Give him a moment. Make sure he's all right. I mentioned Ponce with 29 goals this year. Last year, he only had 3, if the TNG stats have all the counting correct. And the leading scorer for South only had 7 goals. Ponce has really stepped up in that striker role. Here's a nice stretch pass up on the right side. Chance to put across, but only put across. Nobody there for the Raiders to follow on. Felix Hutu will go and retrieve the ball. He's also going to take his time in bringing that to the area. He's in no rush. The side is a 2-0 lead. Taking a couple of these kicks too, where they end up going back to Hutu and then don't end up driving it downfield, but just work methodically to bring it up. It's worked well for South. Downfield on the right side. Colonels had that settled. Driven off a Raider out of bounds. I think the Colonels were yelling at Alan Eshun. Get in position, try to find him on the throw-in, and there he is, battling for it. And they'll rule a corner, 4th of the night for South. 49th minute of the match of 80 scheduled, 2-0 lead for the Colonels. Sean and Ponce has both the goals for South coming in the 17th and 26th minutes. It's interesting how the lighting of the field has it a little dark there at the far side edge. That goes off a Raider and out, so another corner coming. Already South has more corners in the second half than they had in the first. They had 2 in the first. They now have 3 in the second half. Wonder if part of it was perhaps maybe lighting more for football in mind. There's a wide field, though, that they have, a very large and roomy field. That's turned around right in the direction of goal, but nowhere near. Really the first shot of this second half for South, from what I can tell, but they haven't really needed to push the pressure too much. They have that 2-goal lead. They know they could be a little more defensive. Force the Raiders to create opportunities. Battling on the far side. Fitchburg will go to the near side. Touch on there. Continue to Joshua Santos. So run up there by Florimont. Ryan Tamfu. Overruns it. Ends up going backwards to the D-court all the way back to Smith. In the black kit. Good to midfield where it's settled down by Santos. Drives it forward, a good run, but offside. Niles Wilson was just ahead of the last defenders there for South. All about timing your run there, and the assistant, who's got the best look of all, after all, in the postseason, with the 2 assistant officials. That's their primary responsibility, is to watch for those players jumping ahead in the regular season when they have the 2 refs and no lines officials. Where each official has to basically police a line, it gets a little more challenging at times to make those calls. Raiders can only knock it out of bounds. There in the near side, maybe overrun a little bit by Netunu. They're back downfield, trying to find a Raider on that right side. Hansa. Pass it around to the left side. Raiders will kick it back to midfield. There's Wilson. Gets past the 2 defenders. Wilson tries to feed it through. There's the run up there. Entanglement. That ball goes out of bounds. Should be a corner for the Raiders. It will be. Just their second of the night. One Raider down there tried to hit that through ball for him, and he was a little late to see, oh, I'm supposed to be over there. I'm supposed to get that one. But was able to at least arrive in plenty of time to pressure South to force that corner. Raiders can still build something from this. From the left side. Decent error on that one, but well spotted by Felix Hutu. And he boots that well downfield. And great distance on that kick there from Hutu. Very impressed by his poising goal for the South Colonels. Now in the 54th minute of action, 2-0 lead for South. Bit of a collision there now. One of the players slow to get up. Laid on his back for a moment. Now is fit to get back up and continue. That was Eshun. Then he bent down to tie his shoelaces, and the official saying, if you're going to tie your shoelaces, do it off the field, not on it. They'll sub him out for a play. And that's one of the positives in high school soccer with the unlimited substitutions. Oh, and there's a Bit of a scary moment there now. Futu's going to have to play it himself on his feet, and he's able to kick that out of danger. That was an aggressive play there, coming up there to try to break that up. There was no guarantee he was going to be able to handle that with all the poise that he needed. That close to forcing an error. That could have been a goal to get the Raiders back in this one. 55th minute, they trail 2-0. Now forward on the near side, there's a push that's going to be given. Kind of unnecessary in the end because it looked like South had the superior positioning. That little push in the back there did not go uncalled. Smith will drive this downfield. What's that one? About 50 yards in the air. As they battle forward out of bounds, that ends up going in favor of the Red Raiders. They'll have the throw in here. The clashing of feet there will remain in the Raiders' favor, but they lose a little bit of real estate. Also on the right side. Good tackle from the defender there. Miscommunication on what exactly is the play to be made here. They will give the corner, but it looked like the way everybody was reacting, they were thinking perhaps it was going to be a free kick instead. Last out on Fitchburg, but in fact last out on South. There's a bit of a push there, and you can see the official coming over, talking with Felix Hutu, talking with Laba Intunyu. Third quarter of the night for the Raiders. Now loose in the area, trying to settle. South getting it out of danger. There's Tom Fu on the right side, trying to keep the pressure on. Across, trying to feed back for Tom Fu. Has to turn around to get it on his feet. A lot of pressure from the Colonels. They had the last touch, and Duarte smartly lets it go out of bounds. Intunyu gets it in. Nihilus Wilson trying to find Duarte, gets back to Wilson. Battling there. The battle won by the Colonels. They'll get it out to midfield. There's the tangle up there between the leading scorers of these two teams, and Sean Aponza and Nihilus Wilson. Both back on their feet. And slapping of hands between each other, a high five to say we're both all right, we can continue on. Hutu will go all the way 55 yards away from his goal. It'll keep him thinking, gonna go short, gonna go long, and try to go right on target. We'll be headed back there. A few more yards could have tested Smith a little bit. It would be kind of funny to see a goalkeeper-to-goalkeeper shot. We mentioned Hutu has 3 assists this season. And kicks like that would be, I imagine, the reason why he has 3 assists. One off a Raider, and then you saw the push afterwards as the Colonel was just trying to shepherd that out of bounds. Our referee comes over, gives a talking to that Raider, saying, why'd you do that? There was no reason to do that. It's clearly going to go out. The Colonel is tasked to take the corner, asked, was that a foul that involves moving the ball to there, or do I still have to take it from the corner spot? They ruled the foul was after the fact. So, nothing more than that. And now the players are arguing it should be closer. The referee says, no, I like where it is now, in the corner's fine. double check and make sure we get the correct adjudication for this. I think South feels that because of that push, because of that foul, that perhaps the ball should be moved closer. The official says that was that the foul was ultimately not consequential to action on the field of play. As the corner gets punched in the air by Smith and away. Raiders will take it at midfield. Try to stretch up transition play. Here's a bit of a chance here for Wilson as the angle tightens up. Gets across the left side, gets a shot that's blocked. Goes off the feet of Duke Daona and out of bounds. Raiders will earn their fourth quarter of the match. Shots now, I have them as 9-8 in favor of South. Shots on target still 4-2. Haven't really seen a legitimate shot on goal. Well, actually just one in the second half, I think. That's all we've seen. Settle down the area. Kicked back towards goal, but easy enough for Hutu to deal with, and then pick that one up. After all, he can't kick it out of the keeper's hands. He'll sky this one in the air. Still 10 yards past midfield. Duarte for Brent Florimont. 9 goals on the season for the senior. Florimont with a through ball. No Raiders in pursuit. But they'll learn a throw in after it was kicked out of bounds. Maybe the safe approach, maybe not necessarily the approach they needed to make. Here's Amfu. Puts it across, and that one's just high. Oh, a great chance for the Red Raiders. And now they learn the pain of the ball striking the American football goalposts. A great shot there by Wilson on the centering feed. Trying to go bar down on it. And well, he struck a bar. Not the one he was looking for. Perhaps the most dangerous chance for the Raiders in this contest. And from my count, they've taken the shot lead, 10-9, including outshooting the Colonels 5-2 in the second half. But it's probably more playing to the scoreboard here. After all, South has been holding a 2-0 lead since the 26th minute. A foul called against the Raiders here. That's their 9th of the contest. They'll set the ball down 35 yards from goal. Wambrito Bolivar. One of the 2 Colonels there ready to take the kick, but he'll switch off for another. Driven towards the area, out the top of the area. Bolivar tried to turn it towards goal, but that was blocked away. Raiders will try to work in transition here. There's a stretch pass that's too far for Natunu. And Hutu will have that picked up again. Drove it so far downfield, ends up striking the fence on the near side. Already restarted here. Solid keep away by the Colonels. But Natunu's got it here on the right. Duarte feeds it into the area. Wilson trying to corral that ball. On the far side. Drop back on the left. And further back. Raiders trying to give them some space to work. Already past the halfway point of the second half. They don't find a couple goals quickly. This will be the last 16 minutes of their season. Foul forward at midfield. Stayed inbounds. And when it goes out of bounds, it goes out of bounds off a Raider. Winner of this game, looking to earn a trip to Wilbraham to take on Minneshaug on Wednesday night. South holding it back in their own end. Ahutu will kick it out to the far side. To midfield. To the near side. Tunu. For Tampu. Trying to feed Tunu on the right side. Running out of space quickly. Tries to turn it towards goal. Puts it over the net. Challenging when you're running down towards that boundary on the end and you're running out of space to try to find a way to turn it towards goal. The reinforcement's too far behind. Also providing some pressure, forces the turnover. You know the Raiders are going to be pressuring more and more as we're into the final quarter hour of this contest. 65th minute out of 80. Worcester South still holding on to this 2-0 lead. Tampu. The right side, Tampu trying to get it off the bounce off the foot. Colonel falling to the ground. Got some help there from the Raiders, and the foul will be given. The school we refer to as Worcester South, South High Community School, the official name. We call them Worcester South because there are other schools in the state that have South in their name. And Worcester South has long traditionally been the method of referring to the schools such as Worcester North and Worcester South. I mean, North also is North High Schools. There's a shot on the right side. And that's smacked away by Smith. Really the first shot on target of the second half for Worcester South. Seen yearbooks going back to the early 20th century that referred to North and South, North High School and South High Community School as Worcester North and Worcester South respectively. So it's a traditional name, and that way, if you look and you say South, what South are they? Oh, they're the one in Worcester. They're not the one in Newton or the one in Plymouth or the one in Nashua. If they were the one in Nashua, that would be an issue. Because how is a New Hampshire school playing in Massachusetts high school playoffs? The answer is they're not. Being said, Fitchburg did used to play Nashua High School in football way, way, way back in the day. Far enough back in the day that there was no Nashua North and Nashua South. It was just Nashua. Framingham, once upon a time, had their schools divided to North and South as well. No longer a thing, though. Tunu, leaving on the right side, Florimon. Across the left side, firing and stopped. Afutu getting across, getting his hand on it, hits the upright and forces a corner. Another good chance for Fitchburg. The Raiders have had their chances here in this second half. Just trying to get on the board here. Collision forward on the near side. Afutu battling with a Raider. A shot turned back towards goal as that Raider still down in the 6-yard box. So a collision going for that ball on the corner. Check to make sure that down Raider's all right. They're going to stop the clock here. The crossed arms gesture indicating that time is off now. And the Raider who took that fall down in the field can get back up on his feet. Get him all the time that he needs. One of the Colonels now going down to the field for a moment. That's Duke Downona. time will be back on, though, when the official blows his whistle. Unofficially, 11.5 minutes to go in this contest, a 2-0 lead for South. Now we'll restart play, or at least restart the clock as well. Felix Hutu will get this one back in play. Last year, South was the 34 seed. They had to go on the road. They went to Western Mass last year. Took on Longmeadow. Fell 1-0 in the prelims to the Lancers. They're hoping they can find themselves another trip to Western Mass. It's Downona. Took the worst of that in that collision. He's back down. Time off again. Perhaps the going down with the cramp, a Raider coming over, or actually it's a Futu going over, trying to help with the cramps. That Colonel back on his feet. Number font a bit fat there on the Cardinals jerseys. Hard to say if that is Downona or maybe that was Noel Sarmiento Neva. 15 or 16, but whoever it was, though, well, getting a bit of the cramps here in this contest. He was down a moment ago before that. Well, again, as that's headed into the area, you can see Imponsa lurking. Stephen Smith gets there first, gets that ball out of danger. South would like that just be a temporary reprieve. As they start to put on the pressure here. Now, as far as the ball is downfield, that means that's away from their keeper, away from their goal. Turn in the direction of goal, but well short of it. Smith will settle it in the 6-yard box for a goal kick. We're gonna have a timeout called here. About 9 minutes to go in the contest. 2-0 South in front. Trying to earn themselves another trip back to Western Mass. A potential date with the Minnetonka Falcons on Wednesday. Get you another nice look here of Maureen F. Binienda Athletic Complex. Named for a long-time Worcester Public Schools employee who was also superintendent, now on the school committee in retirement. This brand new field in the southwest part of Worcester, right near the border of the town of Leicester. South, one of the 4 main high schools in the city of Worcester that make up the inner high, along with Worcester North, which is actually located well to the east and not quite to the north of the city. In fact, they don't really serve the north part of the city. Let you look a little farther down and see what lays below the press box. Isaiah Manuel, our camera operator tonight, bringing you all the sights and sounds. Travis Falk and Nate Glennie back here in the studios here in Fitchburg, helping to get this set up here to allow me to commentate this game. But yes, the inner high, as we mentioned, there's south, there's north, there's Doherty, which serves more of the northwest portion of the city of Worcester, and there's Burncoat, which actually does serve the north part of the city. Burncoat named after the local neighborhood there. We mentioned most of those teams play at Foley Stadium in Worcester. But Worcester South, with their brand new facility, they get to have games right at the school, and you can see the lights from the school in the background as well. Also some solar canopies right parallel to the field. As the future continues to arrive. Stephen Smith will restart play with the goal kick. The Raiders only about 9 minutes to work with, trailing by 2 goals. Held off the score sheet in their last couple of contests, have not scored since October the 19th, the 4-2 win against Shepherd Hill. Driven downfield, here's Florimon, trying to create the space, gets a pass off. Wilson, left side, turn towards goal, and it's stopped by a Hutu. 5th save of the contest for the senior netminder. Ends up putting his all into that kick, so much so that he fell down. Ended up finding Sean Ponsa on that left side. If Ponsa could have manufactured a run and scored there, could have been Hutu's 4th assist of the season. Foul's going to be called against Ponsa there. 5th foul by my count against the Colonels tonight, compared to 10 fouls against the Red Raiders. Raiders trying to push the tempo. They know they don't have a lot of time to work with. Probably going to start to see their defensive core move further up. Try to create significantly more pressure. Try to keep the ball in the attacking half. Try to find themselves some opportunities late. Kicked out of bounds and a throw-in coming for Fitchburg from the far side. Nudge forward into the corner. Raiders might have been offside on all that. Bring the ball all the way to the spot of infraction. Another driving kick by Hutu, and for the 2nd straight time, he also falls to the ground as he drives it forward. Really trying to put his all into it. "25 seniors between these two teams, 12 for Fitchburg and 13 for South. And for one of those groups, this will be their last high school game. Fitchburg searching hard for a goal late. On the near side, Tamfu able to corral it. One off the leg of Sarpong. Tamfu trying to pass to the right side, deflected off a Colonel leg. Another throw incoming. This one settled down. And out of desperation, kicked through the end line for Fitchburg's 6th corner of the night. Two teams now level in that department. 6 apiece from my count. 9th corner of this half, turned towards goal right off the foot. It was Wilson, but ends up hitting the side of the net. From September 24th to October 19th, Nihilus Wilson had scored in 11 consecutive games. 18 goals on the season, but he, like the rest of his teammates, have not been able to find the net in the last couple of games, and not tonight either. Free kick coming for the Raiders, and you can see the desperation, the fact that Stephen Smith has come all the way up to take it. Chip this one into the area, headed towards goal. Tamfu was there, but it's well wide of the mark. based on the placement of the ball. Might have been a foul against the Raiders or an offside. It wouldn't have counted had it gone because of the free kick coming from up there in the box as opposed to coming from the 6-yard box. But now there's a run there on the right side. A tangling of feet there in the area. When things like that happen so deep in opposition territory, it means nothing good. Foul going against the Raiders. And a free kick from about just outside the area. We're talking literally a foot or two away from this being a penalty for South. Instead of free kick for the Colonels from very deep in Red Raider territory. Very dangerous spot for a free kick. And Drita Reglika set to take with the right foot. Drives it right into the wall. Now driven back to the area and put back towards goal, but Smith makes the stop and stays in bounds as well. Fourth save of the night for Stephen Smith. Time not on the side of the Red Raiders, especially since time was most likely still on during the setup of that free kick, which wastes precious seconds. A penalty, in a sense, although a much higher percentage shot, might have been preferable in a moment, as that one turned towards goal, but Edu Ballon cannot get a lot on it. It'll be an easy stop there for Felix Ahutu. Take all the time he can, drives that downfield. See the clock frozen with 2 minutes in the background. It's all in the officials' hands now. Our unofficial time says only about a minute left in this contest. Driving downfield, Tampu. Battling to try to turn it back towards goal, and an opportunity, but just out of the reach of Florimon. He had the run, but he didn't have the placement and the chance to set it up. He tries to hit it, tries to bicycle it towards goal. A good effort, a desperate effort, but what else can you do when you're really in the final moments of your high school soccer career? Brent Florimon is one of those 12 seniors. Him, Ryan Tampu, Nihilus Wilson, Joshua Santos, Ruben Padilla, Danny Duarte, Ethan Janishi, Giovanni Jean-Noel, Jacques Dumazil, Wilkinsa Toussaint, Michael Nario, and Stephen Smith, those 12 seniors for the Raiders, perhaps seeing the final seconds of their high school career here, trailing by 2 goals, trying to get one more chance there. It's the sophomore Tatunu trying to make the run on the right side. He fell in the area, did not get the call. Again, and we're in the final moments of this contest. The Colonels up 2-0, and perhaps well on their way to punching their ticket to the round of 32. There's Aponsa on the left side. Took that shot there, and a shot on goal, stopped by Smith. But the whistle there with Aponsa down, you could hear him shriek in pain. He's helped up by a Raider, back up on his feet. Raiders wanted to restart quick. Drop there for Smith to restart play. It's the second minute of stoppage time. Don't know how much more time the Raiders will have. As you can see, they'll play with the desperation. They know there's not much time left, and Tamfu trying to get an opportunity on. Strong pressure from the Colonels, forcing into the corner. Tamfu still on the run, but finally dispossessed there at the edge of the area. The middle of the field. And on the far side, Raiders just trying to find something here in the final moments of this contest. Florimon trying to feed it through. Tuniu's gonna have a chance, a shot on, punched away. And the Raiders can't get to the rebound. Another save there for Felix Ahutu. And with the collision there, Ahutu down, a card given in the final moments as well. Raiders have outshot the Colonels 10-5 in this second half, as South has played a more defensive contest. They just have not been able to crack the senior netminder, were number 77 in the off-white for the Colonels. Driven downfield again, battling for it, and another collision in the area. Futu came up, challenged for that ball. A Raider came down on the ground. Time obviously stopped here to deal with the injured Raider. Still a few sands in the hourglass in this contest as they check to the downed Raider. They'll roll, they'll need a substitute for the Raider who was down there. It's been a tough and challenging game for the Raiders. I think they knew, as Brett Florimon is now back up on his feet. He'll come off through the end line. So he can more immediately get the attention he needs there. Florimon was found guilty of initiating a contact with Ahutu. So thus the Colonels get the ball. If Ahutu was found to be more at fault, the penalty could have been given. And now you hear the final seconds count down as time will expire from Worcester, and the Colonels of South High Community School will be on to the round of 32. They take a 2-0 win over the Red Raiders of Fitchburg High School in the preliminary round of the Boys Soccer Division II playoffs. The big challenge for the Raiders coming in was to stop the man who'd scored 27 goals. That was Sean Imponsa. But Imponsa showed what he and the Colonels' transition play could do, as they were able to get 2 goals 9 minutes apart in the first half. And that is all South would need to come away with the 2-0 victory. South now 15-1-2 And they'll be on to the round of 32 to take on the Falcons of Minnechaug on Wednesday night. For the Raiders, their season ends 12-4-3, but one of the best records they have posted in their program's history. They came second in the MIAA, only falling a single game behind the Gardner Wildcats, who will be one of the tougher teams down in the lower divisions and perhaps apt to make a run. Here in Division II for the Raiders, there's just a lot of challenging teams to try to deal with. In the last 3 games, the Raiders unable to find a goal. So once again, the final score in this game, the Fitchburg Red Raiders 0 and the Worcester South Colonels 2. Raiders finished with 15 shots, 7 on target. South finished 13 shots, 7 on target from my counts. The Raiders definitely making it a closer game in the second half, especially as South played to a more defensive style. And South had their chances too in the second half, but strong goaltending from both sides, keeping them at bay, and 7 saves ultimately for Felix Hutu, a solid netminder, recording his 5th clean sheet of the season and his first since a September 30th 3-0 win over the Quabog Cougars. But still, a good season for the Red Raiders. 12-4-3 they'll finish. But knowing they at least played a solid 80 minutes in this contest, just a couple of moments in transition, and the big goal scorer for the Colonels did what he needed to do to get his side into the round of 32. Again, the final score for Marine F. Binienda Athletic Complex on the campus of South High Community School, it was the Fitchburg Red Raiders 0 and the Worcester South Colonels 2. So for everyone here at FATV, for Isaiah Manuel on camera, I'm Daniel Bolak saying thank you for tuning in, and we hope to see you next time. And until then, so long from Worcester.